You're listening to the Downshift podcast, taking you trackside for all things motorsport, with four mates from Melbourne breaking down the races, the drama, and everything in between, all with a little banter and a lot of passion. If you love motorsport and cars as much as we do, make sure to hit that subscribe button so you're always on the grid with us. And if you really want to join the team, leave us a 5-star review and support the show through Patreon for exclusive content and bonus perks. So it's lights out, drop the clutch, and let's get racing. Welcome to the Downshift as we prepare for the Shanghai Grand Prix, where the first race was held in 2004, from which Michael Schumacher still holds the lap record of 1 minute 32.238. Now, designed to look like the Chinese symbol Shang, which means upwards, this is has one of the longest straights on the calendar, with a 1.2 kilometre straight, which is one of its 2 DRS zones. So, Lachlan, what are we looking forward to as the start of the race?
Well, look, I think I'll be looking forward to watching the McLarens, obviously seeing if they can continue with their speed of their car. I think that straight will suit them, given the low drag coefficient on that car. I'll be interested to see if they can get that extra bit of speed out of it as well, and if they can continue to pull away from the other teams.
Yeah, I think they should be able to continue their form, and given that I think the forecast is supposed to be warm and sunny, about 25 or 26 degrees or something on the Sunday, so back to regular dry racing, and we'll get a better indication of where teams, outright speed actually sits. So I know Ferrari will be looking to get a big improvement, but I also think we can't write off Red Bull. I think Max is going to be strong there as well, and if Liam can maximise the car and do a good job, they could collect a few more points this weekend too.
And I'm looking forward to a race that's shown at a reasonable time for us to watch.
What was wrong with last weekend?
Last weekend was fine.
We don't get many. We get what? Singapore, Australia, Shanghai, and Japan. They're probably the ones in our time zone, aren't they? As Aussies. So I know people complained. I saw people complaining on Twitter about getting up at 4 a.m. in the UK to watch the Formula One. Like, oh my God, please don't complain, because we have many, many more early mornings and late nights than most of the rest of the world.
And just to let you know, their boomer, it's called X now, not Twitter.
X, sorry. I'm still used to the old school Twitter. Yeah.
So for all those in the Northern Hemisphere, welcome to the Southern Hemisphere. So this is where, for passionate fans of Formula One, it's just what you need to do to make sure that you enjoy the live action.
That's it. And hope your boss is leaning in on Monday morning when you need to sleep in.
I hope your boss is okay, Huppy.
Yeah, my boss. Yeah, no worries. I'll ask for a late start. I'm sure he'll approve.
I'll just work from home. I'll be fine.
And look, what I really love about this track is it is actually a really great track to watch when you look at it in turns 1, 2, 3, and 4, really sweeping turns, getting a really good momentum in regard to the car, but then it leads into some really good pace. So there is great opportunities for some good racing, some good car control, but again, some really strong turns into hairpins, especially in the third sector, coming out of 13 into that 1.2 kilometre straight, coming to a really tight hairpin in 14, bleeding 15, 16, and then to the finish. So it's great watching on the TV. It's also great watching if you're there on the track as well. So,
yeah, hopefully we see some good overtaking with those long DRS zones and some pretty high top speeds down those straights. So a bit more of an abrasive track than Melbourne. So tyre management will be critical again. And I guess they were the warning signs for the teams chasing McLaren, is that McLaren seem to have really good tyre management in Melbourne. So if that continues with a medium to hot sort of track in Shanghai, then yep, they'll be off to a very good start for the season.
That'll put the other teams on notice. If the McLarens can manage those tyres and be as quick as they were, I think there'll be a few more worried looks around the pit.
Yeah, I think their average race pace from Melbourne was a good 5-6 tenths quicker than Verstappen a lap. Like, that's a huge difference. So, the chasing pack behind them was a bit slow as well. So whether that was wrong setup, maybe some teams might have had more of a wet, setup, a slightly softer car than others. But I guess, yeah, Shanghai will be a real test, because we'll get to see everyone will have a good setup when they roll out of the truck or the plane or whatever. They'll get the car on track. They'll know what they're looking for as far as setup goes. They won't be making many major changes. So now we'll get a true indication of where these guys are sort of sitting at the start of the season.
I heard they're benching Carlos to help with strategy in the garage that next weekend too.
Yeah, he made a great call. So yeah, he's showing his experience, Carlos. Like put him on the pit wall.
He called the rain absolutely spot on. Apparently,
Yeah.
and on the lap too. He said this is when it'll happen and this is what'll do it, and absolutely to the letter. That's exactly what happened when it came through. So
yeah. You need drivers like that who can make a decision on the fly and not have to rely on the strategy from the pit wall, which, as we know, can often be wrong. So, sometimes it's best if you're the driver, you're out there in the conditions, you need to make a call. So Carlos is one of those guys.
Feels like the drivers maybe perhaps got a bit more dynamics in terms of strategy, whereas the strategists are probably go, here's plan A, B, and C for the weekend, and and they go, oh, crap, now what? We'll, just chop and change a bit and get through it.
The challenge is, I mean, the strategists, they're sitting there at the pit wall. They've got a radar in front of them. That's the visibility they get. As the drivers are going around, just seeing that is the real read of the track. That's the real read of the weather. I mean, we saw that in Melbourne, and I think that's probably, if we go look back at Melbourne, that was the one mistake that Red Bull made, was that Max called, should I be coming in to change my tyres, probably 2 laps before they did it. Had he done that, possibly could have seen a different result to the race.
Yeah, it's a tough thing to get that communication right. Like, the pit wall can have a huge amount of data available, because it's not just the guys on the pit wall. They've got a whole team back at their race, HQ. All the data from the race is going back there. There's a bunch of engineers sitting there looking at monitors, thinking about strategy, running through scenarios. It's a challenge to get all of that communication distilled back to the strategist on the pit wall, and making sure that the right decision is being made either by the driver or by the strategist, or together. And I think we've seen teams trip up with that relationship a lot in the past. In particular, we've seen Ferrari having a few issues. And as far as team dynamics go, we know that most drivers seem to get along in their teams at the moment, but I think the team dynamics to watch would be Lewis Hamilton and his engineer at the moment. They really need to sort out what's going on, who's making the decisions and who's making the calls as far as strategy goes.
I think that's a really nice crossover for us to take a short break, and then what we'll do is we'll come back in a moment as we start to talk about team dynamics, how the drivers are looking together, but also how they're looking in regards to working with their teams. So we'll be back with you in just a moment. All right, welcome back to the Downshift. We're one race into the championship of Formula One in 2025. And as we're starting to see, there's the dynamics forming with the teams. So a great opportunity for us to start to go through and review what our thoughts are of some of the dynamics that are forming between the drivers, but also how the drivers are working in with the teams at the same time. So, Huppy, thoughts in regards to McLaren?
They seem reasonably happy at the moment, as you'd expect, but I think that'll all change 1, 2, 4, 5 races from now as things start to heat up in the championship battle between Lando and Oscar. But I think it's probably the same throughout the paddock. Everyone's happy and saying they get on well together and all that. But we know that things can obviously change if there's a lot of competition between teammates, and your teammate's the first person you have to try and beat. So.
I'd just like to point out that Lando and Verstappen said they still do not like each other.
They've always got along fairly well, but yeah, we'll see.
In Melbourne, they had Zach on the broadcast for a while, and they were talking to him about who's going to be going first and who they're choosing over the other person, and he's like, oh, he's playing it really low key, and then he's like, oh, let's go racing, and so they're obviously he's trying to play the middleman, just happy to let it see how it goes, but yeah, that'll get interesting. when they
Well, I
start
think
getting
they're still backing Lando at the minute, aren't they? Until if Oscar pulls up and starts winning 1 or 2, then they'll swap it and say, right, we're going to go behind him now.
Well, I think it's more about who gets to the front first. So if Oscar was in first position on turn 1, they'd let him go, and they wouldn't want them to fight until they had a gap. So you could see that in Melbourne. Once they got that gap, then they said, right, now they're free to race. So if Oscar could catch up and pass Lando, then they don't touch, McLaren's happy, and that's fine. Like if they can sort themselves out, and that determines who scores the most points by round 5 or round 10 or round 15, that's when the team's going to start thinking, well, so-and-so's got a good lead. We're going to have to put our support behind them to get a world championship. But it'll take a little while yet before they make a decision like that, I think.
Rookie question: does it matter to the team which driver is higher on the drivers' championship?
No.
If they're both 1 and 2, for example, it doesn't matter.
It means they're winning constructors, so they don't care.
Yeah, the priority for the team is the Constructors' Championship. And if they can support one of their drivers to win the world title as well, awesome. And look, anyone who wins the Constructors typically will have a driver that has won the world championship as well. Like, it's rare for that not to happen because you've usually got 2 drivers in a good enough car to win the world championship. If one wins it, the other one potentially could have won it. So, yeah, it was a bit different last year with Max and McLaren. Yeah.
So then is Hamilton going to play second fiddle to Leclerc?
I don't think initially, no. I think what they'd be focused on now is after testing and after the performance of the car in Melbourne after round 1, both of those drivers, I think, would be trying to work well with the team to get performance into the car, so then they can start fighting for maximum points. If they get that car to a position where they think, oh, we've got a chance to win a world title, that's when the driver tension might start ramping up a little bit.
I think that's where, if you look at the last race, Charles was sort of stamping a little bit of dominance by doing the overtaking move on Lewis just at the very end of the race, just to show, hey, I'm the number 1 driver within the team here, so I'm going to push it. And he did. He pushed it on Lewis to be able to get ahead of him. And so that's where we're going to see some of that dynamic is who is the number 1 driver. Charles's team, he's been there for a number of years now, and having the world champion come in, he's still got to be able to say, hey, I'm leading the team here and I'm going to show you that I can do that. What I think when we start to talk about the team dynamic, though, is this is about Ferrari getting themselves organised and sorted in regards to how they start to work with their drivers. What was interesting for me was seeing really just the lack of, I'm going to say, professionalism between the race engineers and their drivers around respecting that these are 2 very seasoned drivers. With Lewis, as he's there driving the race and his race engineer coming in and asking him just to do things which he just didn't need to do. And you saw where his race engineer, Adami, came in and is asking him to test K1. And he's going, not now, not now. Yeah, and he said, leave it to me. Within a second later, Adami's coming in and saying, can you press K1? He's like, leave me alone. So it's getting that that harmony.
Yeah. Oh, that'll take a while to work out. And it's the first time they've done a race together. It's the first time they've been in that situation. Adami's been the engineer for Carlos for the last 4 years, I think, before now. It took them a little while to build a bit of a relationship. So, yeah, they'll have some stuff to sort out.
And it's not something they can work out in off-season testing or even, Bahrain, sort of that sort of stuff. It's something they've got to actually do races together and go, right, this is how it's going to. I mean, they would have had a pretty big debrief, I imagine, afterwards to go, right, this is what
I need. This is what you need to give me.
I need the important stuff. Yep. If it's level 2 or 3 of importance, yeah, you need to just can it. I mean, he was asking him to test Kate just to test it out or just for practice. And Lewis doesn't need practice. I'm pretty sure Lewis knows what he's doing.
Yeah, that's the thing. Maybe he assumed Lewis didn't know what he could do with the overtake button and when he could use it. But obviously Lewis was confident and knew when he could use it. And 7-time world champion, you want to let him do his own thing. So and then like you said before, Christian, it's Charles's team, but Lewis has got to come in and get embedded in that team and working well with his engineer, because although he's come in with a huge pedigree, he's probably realistically only got 1 or 2 years to try and get another title with Ferrari. Like, that'll be his goal. I think if he gets one world title with Ferrari, massive tick on the list, and he has to establish himself and drive well and try and make that happen in the next 1 to 2 years, or he's going to lose the opportunity.
And the other team to have a look at is Mercedes. You look at it in regards to Kimi Antonelli. He is fast. He's shown that in Melbourne. Obviously, a very lucky spin-off there, but he's shown his pace. And so when you're looking at it, you've got George who's finished in third, Kimi who's finished in fourth. For me, it's about what does this actually mean for George? So, George is now the lead driver in the team, and so he's able to show that. The question is, does he show that he's the lead driver, or does he show that he's a team leader? And so it's being able to recognise a young up-and-comer who, if he's going to be showing the pace and the performance, does it become a tussle between the two drivers, or is it an opportunity to help develop a young up-and-coming driver as you're also getting points yourself and doing it for the win of the team?
I think Antonelli will push Russell and make him possibly either slightly better or slightly faster as well. Because if he sees him coming up behind him, he will try and take that extra step to actually hold his place, because he is obviously the more senior driver. But the thing is, too, I think you'll find Antonelli might make a couple of mistakes because he is young, he is sort of untried, and he's pushing as fast as he can. But I think he'll actually, I think as a pairing, they're quite a good pairing together. But I think he will push Russell to take that extra step as well.
Yeah, I think Toto's pretty wrapped in his setup right now, and he's got two youngish drivers that are going to see him through for 6 or 7 years probably. If they talked about Antonelli being perhaps the next, Lewis Hamilton, and sort of only being 18, I think, is he? So if they can get a good relationship going, that's going to be in a few years down the track, they'll be a dominant team.
Yeah, and then after the race, George, the way George was talking in the media pen was that he was really happy for Kimi. It sounds like he's really supportive of him, and I'm sure Toto's been in George's ear saying, you need to help develop this kid and look after him. And if that's the thing, if the two of them work together and they can both improve the car together, it just gives both of them a better chance to do well. So the battling for points will come down the track if it gets to a situation where they might fight for a championship or something like that. Yeah, I think George would have to be aware that Kimi's likely going to take a couple of spots off him in races because he's very fast. But as a racing driver, you can't be scared of having a fast teammate, can you? Like, you're in F1 because you think you're the best and you've got a chance to win. So, you'll take on the challenge, and George seems to be doing it.
It'd be hard pressed to find a team that wins constructors sort of giving their drivers the boot.
Yeah, it's happened before.
Like, even if the drivers aren't doing well, particularly in if you get two drivers that are so what? Mercedes are equal first on constructors after this last weekend. So, but they didn't podium, but they were both at the top end, and they're above Red Bull, who had one second driver and another driver much further down, which was their challenge a few years ago with Max and the other guy. Just sort of getting Sergio Perez. That's right. Just consolidating the results to be not equal, but more support from the second driver to get the points.
You need that consistency, yeah, like you said. And Red Bull, no, that's the other thing that can impact the driver relationships and team dynamics is having one driver that's not pulling their weight. So it'd be frustrating for Max if Liam can't get up to speed, for example, and help propel them forward, because otherwise everything's on Max's shoulders. So, for McLaren, where you've got both drivers finishing top two, you've got Mercedes, both drivers finishing close together, third and fourth. It's great for them. That's what they want, and that's what those drivers want as well. So, yeah, a bit of pressure on Red Bull and Liam to lift his game so they can build a good relationship, improve the car, and propel that team forward.
This weekend will be that challenge for Liam to actually prove he can drive and he can keep some sort of pace with it because, dry race, good track, fast straight. What can he do?
And you're only as good as your last race, as they say. So his last race was an absolute shocker. So he'll be wanting to turn that around in a big way in Shanghai. Yep, exactly. So I'm hanging out for Friday to see FP1 and see how he goes in that Red Bull.
So speaking of Friday and getting ready for practice and then working through to Sunday, it's time for us to be able to have a look at our predictions for now that we've started to see some of the performance of the teams and the drivers, putting our thoughts to who's going to take out the race for Shanghai. So, Schwags, we'll pass over to you first. We're going to go pole, followed by third, second, and then first.
Oh, pole first, radio. So, all right. So you want the expert opinion first, radio?
Absolutely.
Ooh, I hadn't thought about pole position. I reckon probably Max will get pole position. Long straight might suit that car. And I've also put Max as first, put Piastri second. Bit of a love vote there, I think. And then I put Charles third. I reckon Ferrari might do better this weekend. So it was that was a double Max,
Well, they'd be wanting
Piastri,
to.
Charles. Well, yeah, they want to. Yep.
How does that align with your thoughts, Huppy?
Yeah, no, I'm not confident in Dan's at all. I'm going to go with the form teams. So I think I'll pretty much be sticking with what I went with for Melbourne. I think Lando will get pole position. I think we'll see Max Verstappen in third. We'll see Oscar in second and Lando with another win. That would be my prediction. That's my brain talking. My heart is saying, please, Oscar, get up there and get on the top step of that podium. I've got my Oscar Piastri shirt on for those watching on YouTube. But yeah, I think Max, Oscar, and Lando for the win.
So, Lockie, is it head or heart for you?
Nah, it's all good. No, I'm going to go. I'll sit here and go. I'm going to put it behind. I reckon Piastri can take pole for this one. It won't be by a lot though. I am going to go in third. I'm going to go Leclerc in third. I think Ferrari will get their stuff together. I am going to go with Norris in second and Piastri to take the win. I'm just going to cut the Red Bulls out this weekend. I just don't think they're actually going to pull up. I think they'll. Fingers crossed. I
love the fact you're going for Oscar for the win. I hope he does.
Well,
win.
I figure
you're happy to concede points on that, aren't you?
Well, exactly. Yeah. I mean, can't affect my stand-in anyway. So what's it matter?
The only way is up. And look, for me, Lockie, you and I are almost par here. Again, I'm looking for Oscar for pole. I think after Melbourne, he's going to want to. He was the faster car out of the two for a lot of the race. So I think he's got and we're talking about pole position was 1/10 between the two of them, and they were both super quick. So Oscar for pole. I'm going to put Max into third place, and then followed by Lando second, and I'm going to join you as well, Lachlan, for Oscar on first. So I'd love to see that as being the result for Shanghai.
All right. So three of us are fairly similar. Dan's gone the Hail Mary. So if the three of us are wrong and they trip over themselves, then Dan's going to romp home with maximum points.
Go big or go home.
And to be fair,
Exactly right.
I don't mind if Williams gets up there as well, or stranger things could happen. Kick Sauber could turn around and come out with a 1-2. We just don't know what's going to happen at the moment.
Again, world turned upside down. We're talking about we've got Ferrari who's now behind Kick Sauber, behind Aston Martin. Anything could happen.
You cannot rule it out.
I think one thing about Melbourne was because it was such a wet race and a bit sort of up and down and everything went on. There wasn't really any clear. I don't know. I didn't feel like there was any sort of like clear sort of standing is just yet. I mean, yeah, sure, McLaren did well and that, but I was hoping to see Charles do a bit better, but it wasn't to be. So
And Tsunoda drove quite well.
Yeah, Tsunoda drove really well. So he's and he'll be happy with fourth and fifth and sixth of the season. That'll be a great season for him. Just
Massively.
still on that, and good on him. Like he's done the hard yards, so it'd be good for him to see some results, and it's good to see the results in the number 2 Red Bulls.
Indeed. So it'll be great to see Isaac be able to get out on track and show us what he's capable of in the dry. So I'd really like to see him pull that out and have a great result.
Get his lap count up.
Past 1. Yep.
He's got some fresh tyres from last weekend though, so that's okay.
Hey, I'm sure he wished they'd carry it over. Yeah,
I don't think they'll bring the wets with them for this one, Dan. They might leave them back in the truck.
That's going to be sunny, I think.
So as we're saying, this Sunday we've got the Shanghai Grand Prix for Australian listeners, 6 p.m. Australian Eastern Standard Time, so a respectable hour for us to be able to watch the race. And obviously for viewers around the world, check your local guides. That's been the downshift for this episode. We'll look forward to seeing you again on Tuesday of next week as we go through and review the race that was the Shanghai Grand Prix. Until then, enjoy, and we'll catch you on the next lap. That's the checkered flag for this episode of The Downshift. Thanks for tuning in and hanging out with us in the paddock. If you enjoyed the ride, don't forget to hit the like button and subscribe so you never miss a lap. And hey, if we've earned it, drop us a 5-star review. It really helps us climb the grid and reach more motorsport fans. Want to take it to the next level? Join the Downshift Pit Crew by supporting us through Patreon. You'll get exclusive content and help fuel the show to keep us pushing flat out every week. Until next time, keep it fast, keep it fun, and we'll catch you on the next lap.